MASN All Access is brought to you by the Maryland Lottery. Play fast play home run riches from the Maryland Lottery all season long. Hi everybody, welcome into MASN's Maryland Lottery Show. Amy Jennings and Brendan Mortensen here with you. And today we're going to take a look back at the biggest home run riches winners from the month of June. And Brendan, I don't know if it was the warm weather or the Orioles trying to play up to their tough schedule, but the amount of multi-homer games in the month of June was just insane.
Yeah, the Orioles, as you mentioned, had an absolute gauntlet in the month of June, and the offense showed up. This is what we have seen from the Orioles this season. They are powered by the home run ball. Really 1 through 9, there is power throughout the lineup, and in June they really showed it.
I want to start, there were a lot of games that they actually hit 4 homers, and one of those came in the middle of the month, which is where I want to start because I think this series just had a different feel, Brendan. It was the Phillies were in town, the two best teams in all of baseball, a sellout crowd here. It just had a different feel.
Yeah, it felt like a playoff atmosphere here in Baltimore. There were a lot of Phillies fans here. You can feel how you want about that, but regardless, it created a really cool environment for baseball. And in the game that we're going to get to here, where the Orioles hit 4 home runs, it was Corbin Burnes against Zach Wheeler, 2 of the better pitchers in baseball on 2 of the best teams in baseball. So all in all, just a really fun series and hopefully a preview of what we could see come October.
So the guys that we saw hit homers in that one were Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, Jordan Westburg, and Colton Cowser. And Brendan, 3 of those guys were just in the All-Star game last week.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun to have that group of 4 really young guys show up in a big way against a great starting pitcher. As mentioned, Zach Wheeler came into that game as one of the NL Cy Young frontrunners, and it was the first time in his career that he allowed 4 home runs, and it's by 4 of the younger guys on this Orioles roster who showed up big in a huge series, which was a lot of fun. Something
else that all 4 of these guys have in common is that they were all drafted and developed by the Orioles, Brendan.
Yeah, this is, look, the MLB draft was just about a week or so ago. We know the Orioles are the best team in baseball at drafting, and those 4 guys have been a big part of the Orioles' success this season. And we're going to see more Orioles draftees in the coming years contribute to that success as well.
Well, ahead of the 2024 draft, Brendan took a look back at Mike Elias and company's success in the draft.
Gunnar, Adley, and Jordan Westburg going to the All-Star game that just got drafted so many years ago that he drafted. That's unbelievably rare.
This isn't normal. That's not just a manager hyping up his team. It's truly hard to believe just how good the Orioles have been in the MLB draft since 2019 when Mike Elias and company took the reins. Think of some recent World Series winners. Sure, you've got the Rangers who spent big on stars in free agency. The Braves hit huge on the international market. But teams like the Cubs, Astros, Royals, Giants, they all had a core built from the draft. And take a look outside here at Camden Yards. That's exactly what the Orioles are building. Take a look at the lineup card on any given day in 2024. You'll see the names Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Jordan Westburg, Heston Kjerstad, and Colton Cowser more often than not, all drafted in the last 5 years. And Jackson Holliday and Kobe Mayo aren't too far behind. Now, I know this has become the new normal in Birdland, but it's important to zoom out and recognize just how special this is. As of July 1st, here's how Orioles draft picks since 2019 stack up against other teams over that same time period. It's not even close. There's one other team in baseball with a combined WAR over 20, 2 teams in the game with even half as much WAR as the O's. Okay, just for fun, let's make some tweaks to this leaderboard. Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson, on their own, have combined for more career WAR than the 29 other teams' draft picks since 2019. And I'm sure you've probably heard the claim that the O's are only this successful because of their high draft picks. So just for good measure, there's how Baltimore stacks up if you took away all of their first selections from the last 5 drafts. So that's no Adley, Kjerstad, Cowser, or Holliday. Doesn't matter. The Orioles are just flat out better. So how is all of this happening? I don't know. It's some magical combination of great scouting, better drafting, outstanding development, and some luck thrown in there too. Let's start with the scouting and drafting. In 2019, Adley Rutschman was a slam dunk kind of prospect. He got walked with the bases loaded in the College World Series. He drew Buster Posey and Joe Mauer comparisons. That one seems hard to miss on. But Heston Kjerstad was MLB Pipeline's 10th ranked prospect heading into the 2020 draft. The O's took him second, and he's got a higher career WAR than Spencer Torkelson and Austin Martin combined, the guys ranked number 1 and number 2. Colton Cowser was ranked 10th too when the O's took him at number 5 in 2021. Even with the number 1 pick in 2022, the now number 1 overall prospect Jackson Holliday wasn't the number 1 prospect leading into the draft. That was Drew Jones. So yes, the Orioles have had high picks, but they've still been able to identify their guy. And let's not forget that every team in baseball could have drafted All-Stars Gunnar Henderson and Jordan Westburg. Henderson was a second rounder in 2019. Westburg went at pick 30 in 2020. Heck, Kobe Mayo went 103rd, which leads to the next part of the equation. Yes, you have to identify the talent, but once they're in the organization, there might not be a better place for a prospect to be.
And that's part of, I would say, our competitive advantage, is that we're not drafting players for reason X and then player development saying, no, we like reason Y, we're going to completely change it. We're all on the same page, and we have a lot of efficiency when it comes to player development.
And yes, a lot of that successful formula has centered around drafting and developing position players. The O's have drafted a lot of them in the top rounds because they know what works. Drafting pitchers is hard. There's a lot of misses on young arms at the top of the draft. And some of those drafted position players have helped Baltimore acquire talent like, former Cy Young winners. The Orioles are experts at not only identifying the kind of talent that they can develop, but putting that plan into action. After years of boasting the top farm system in baseball, Baltimore is seeing the fruits of that labor up in the big leagues. And by the way, farm system is still stacked. 3 top 15 prospects in the game in Jackson Holliday, Samuel Basayo, and Kobe Mayo.
And to be able to restock the system so quickly and to get guys through the system that can produce at the major league level such early on in their careers is, I don't think I've never seen anything like it.
Look, I asked what the secret sauce was. Nobody told me. But whatever the recipe may be, nobody is cooking it up better than Baltimore.
MASN All Access is brought to you by the Maryland Lottery. Play fast, play home run riches from the Maryland Lottery all season long. So we're going to fast forward now to the end of the month. There was another really significant long ball that came in the month of June, and this was in a big win over Texas, which is always fun because that is, of course, the team that knocked the Orioles out of the playoffs last year. So it's been a little bit of a revenge tour this year. But in this game, we saw Heston Kjerstad get his first career grand slam.
Yeah, Heston Kjerstad, we know the power is there. The bat is fantastic. We saw it at AAA Norfolk. The question with Kjerstad was really just where he was going to fit into this Orioles lineup. There wasn't really a logical place to put him defensively, but if he keeps hitting like he has over the last few weeks, then he's just going to be in the lineup because he's one of the hottest hitters there.
And then the other home run in that game came from Anthony Santander.
Yeah, Anthony Santander, a late addition to the American League All-Star game, but a deserving one in the AL. Santander has had a career year. The power numbers are there. He's one of the best power hitters on this team and in the American League as well.
Well, there were a lot of homers in the month of June and a lot of more exciting things to come for this young team in the second half of the season. But for now, that's going to do it. A big thanks to Annie Claff for producing this show. For Brendan Mortensen, I'm Amy Jennings, and MASN All Access is brought to you by the Maryland Lottery. Play fast, play home run riches from the Maryland Lottery all season long.